Alright guys, so this video is going to focus on how to solve a quadratic equation by factoring. So here we're given a quadratic equation. Alright, so first things first, when it comes to solving quadratic equations, the first thing that we really want, or the first thing that we're really hoping that our equation is already in quadratic form. Now, quadratic form looks like this. So a typical quadratic equation looks like this. You have your x squared term followed by x, followed by a constant, and it's set equal to 0. Really, anything in this form here, anything with that little exponent of a 2 is considered a quadratic equation. But to make our life easier here, we do like things to be nice in this pretty quadratic form over here, set equal to 0. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see anything set equal to 0 up here. So we're given an example where it's not exactly in quadratic form at first. Now, that doesn't mean we can't make it in quadratic form. So if you're ever given an example like similar to this one here, the first thing you want to do is put it in proper quadratic form. So that kind of just means, hey, scooch some of the stuff over, get all of your terms on one side except for 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the 25b over, I'm going to move the 21 over. So I'm just going to subtract those away on both sides. That way my equation is in the lovely form that I want it to be. And that'll just make it easier for us to factor. Alright, so I just move those two terms over to the left-hand side. It's now set equal to 0, so now we can factor. Now, because we have a trinomial, definitely with the leading coefficient that is not a 1. I don't see a 1 here in front. That means I'm going to choose no fuss factoring in order to solve this equation here. So I always use no fuss factoring anytime I'm dealing with a trinomial with the leading coefficient of 1. Because just for me, no fuss factoring is just the easiest form of factoring one of these examples here. If you're not familiar with no fuss factoring, maybe go back and watch one of the other videos on it. Otherwise, the first step for no fuss factoring says this. It says to repeat the first term twice. So this 4b, I'm going to repeat that twice, and I'm going to say 4b times 4b. Then what you're going to do, step 2 says to multiply the first number times the last. 4 times 21. All right, and actually multiply that together. 4 times 21 is equal to 84. And what you're going to do with that number is you're going to list all the possibilities, all the different numbers that multiply to get 84. So 1 times 84, 2 times 42, 3 times 26, 4 times 21, 5 doesn't go in, 6 goes in, 14 times, 7 doesn't go in, 8 doesn't go in. Whew, are we done? 9 doesn't go in, 10. So I think we might be done here. Okay, so what we're looking for is which one of these combinations adds or subtracts to get our middle term, that 25 over there. So do any of these add or subtract to get a 25? And my eyes are going straight to this right here, this 4 and this 21, because 4 plus 21 is definitely 25. So I'm going to plug in 4, I'm going to plug in 21. Again, remember, it does not matter where you put those. What's most important is what signs go in front of them. And do remember that this entire thing is set equal to 0, so we do need to make sure that is dropped down when we're factoring. Focusing on our signs next. So the easiest rule to start with when it comes to signs is this. Whatever sign your middle term has, the bigger number out of these has to have it every time. That rule will work every time regardless what kind of factoring technique you're doing. So because my middle term is negative, the negative is going to go with the 21 because it's bigger. Then I need to draw my attention to the last term over here, and this is a negative. Now this last one here comes from multiplying last times last. So I need to think, well, how do I get a negative in multiplication? And think about those multiplication rules. Same signs gives you positive, different signs give you negative. And because I have a negative, that means I must have different signs. So since this one's positive, that one has, since this one's negative, this one has to be positive. Now the last step in no fuss factoring is to simplify. One or both of your factors will be able to be simplified. Think about simplifying fractions, dividing out a common factor. So start with looking at the first one, specifically looking at your numbers, 4 and 4. Well, we definitely have something in common with a 4 and a 4. They have a 4 in common. So let's divide out that 4. And when we do so, 4 over 4 cancels. We drop down the b plus 4 over 4 is a 1. Looking at our second factor over here, 4 and 21 don't have anything in common, which is perfectly fine. Just drop that down. At least one of these will be able to be simplified. Sometimes both, but at least one. So always just look them over. So this is our factored problem so far. We need to continue on working with it here because we have to solve this here. All right, so our next step then, now that we have it fully factored, what we're going to do is we're going to use the zero factor property in order to solve this. Now, actually think about what this is telling us. The zero factor property tells us, hey, step back and look at this because this is saying that this times this is 0. Now, think about it. How do you get 0 when you multiply? The only way for us to get a 0, if we're multiplying this together, is if one of these is 0. Either b plus 1 has to equal 0, or 4b minus 21 has to equal 0. One of these has to equal 0 in order for us to get a 0. And honestly, mathematically, we really don't know which one is equal to 0. So what we do is we assume they both are. So what we do at this point here is we're going to break this apart. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, b plus 1 is equal to 0. And then I'm also going to say 4b minus 21 is equal to 0. And we're going to solve both of these. Now, for solving both of these, I'm going to subtract 1 on both sides over here. And I get b is equal to a negative 1. To solve this equation, I'm going to add 21 to both sides. That's going to give me 4b is equal to 21. And divide out the coefficient, b is equal to 21/4. So my two solutions here are a negative 1 and a 21/4. Those are the two solutions to this quadratic equation.